What a do, party people? We're back with design number one. This is what I call groovy flowers. And to get this design, I do two coats of a very pale yellow. This one's from OPI and it is a gel polish. So I do two coats, I cure it, and then I get started on the flower by dipping a larger dotting tool into a pink, dotting that onto the nail, and then grabbing my nail brush and pulling that out into a little triangle to make the petals. You can see I grab it again, do the dot, and then grab my nail brush to draw out the petal there. I think this design turned out really well because there's a lot of spacing between the flowers and the flower petals, and that gives it a really Austin Powers, groovy, SpongeBob, bikini bottom, whatever, whatever, and it makes it kind of fun. So I would definitely recommend spacing out your petals if you try this design too at home, but don't forget the top coat, and boom, there you have it. You got some groovy flowers. Design number two here is what I call a marble gradient. And this is a huge throwback to the days of water marbling, which was inspired by the hydroponic, hydro whatever designs. And this is just an easy DIY version. So what I do is I paint a thicker layer of my base light pink gel here, and I go on with two globs of my darker pink. And I be sure not to cure between the two layers because you really want to work with the polish while it's still in its liquid form. So I grab my thinner dotting tool and I drag out the design to how I want the swirls to look. And then after I get the design I like, I cure that and then grab my darker pink again with my liner tool and kind of go over the bottom there to build up the gradient and really keep the design clean. Personally, I really like how this design turned out, and it's 30,000 times easier than doing water marbling because I've always found that to be so messy and you don't really get the design that you want. But this one you have way more control. So if you try it out and you like it, let me know. For my next design, I'm doing a cute little smiley face, and it's really giving Drew, Justin Bieber's clothing line, whatever. It was not just inspired by that, but it does look like it now that I'm looking at the design after the fact. But the reason I feel like this design works so well is because I'm doing this nice vibrant yellow on top of this bubblegum pink, and I think that color contrast makes it look really pretty. But yeah, how I do it is I grab a bigger dotting tool, dip that into the yellow to make the base of the face, and then I grab a smaller dotting tool to do the two eyes. I always do my best to make the eyes symmetrical in a smiley face, but I'm only human and I do what I can. To make the smile on this one, I do half of the smile on one side and then half on the other side and connect the two. And I feel like it's easier to do smiles that way instead of one swoop. But yeah, finish with a top coat and boom, there you have it. A cute little smiley face. For this next design, I use this pink chrome that I've been dying to use, and it turned out really nicely. I normally use chrome on top of black backgrounds, but I decided to do it on top of this chocolatey brown background to see how it would show up, and the color really popped on top of it, so I'm really happy that I kind of switched it up and did that. This is also my first time applying chrome with a silicone applicator instead of an eyeshadow applicator. I wanted to switch up the tools to see how it goes, but it actually worked pretty well. The only reason it didn't adhere in the beginning here is because I didn't really have a no wipe top coat on it to make the chrome stick. So after I went back in and cured a no wipe top coat, you can see the chrome applied effortlessly and it's very seamless and pretty. You can really see the color pop here once I apply the top coat because it becomes so shimmery and pretty. But yeah, this is definitely one of my favorite designs in the series. All right, design number five is what I call under overs. This is a really funny design because this is inspired by how I used to sign my name in elementary school. I used to write my name and then do this little design as the underline underneath. So how I start is doing literally an arch that's like an over. I do half on one side and half on the other, similar to how I do the smiley face in the other video. It's hard for me sometimes to do one sweeping motion, so you'll see a lot of times I connect one half of the design and then the other half on the other side. But yeah, I just start with one over, then I go the next one, do an under, do an over, do an under, and I kind of make a French mani across to get the top of the design there. But I think this one turned out really nicely because I do a hot pink base and then a light pink for the design over top of it. It doesn't have to be perfect, and I think that's what's fun about this design. It's kind of quirky and cool, but yep, there you have it. Next, we have a silhouette design, which is honestly a Friend of Nails classic. It would not be a Friend of Nails series if I didn't do one of these silhouettes. I don't know why. I started painting these a long, long time ago when I first started doing nail art. And they're so simple, but also elegant on the nail and kind of catch your eye to it. So I always like to do different color variations of this. But what I do is I grab a lighter color and do one swooping motion across the nail, giving some depths to the curves at the bottom, at the top, and I go in with a second and third layer because this polish is fairly transparent and I want the color to be mainly opaque. But after you get the desired opacity, I grab my liner brush with a darker color and outline the edges to really make that design come to life. And yeah, that's really it for this design. It's super simple. I do it all the time, but there's so many different color combinations you can do with this design, which is why I think it's really fun. When people say you got your head in the clouds, this is what I imagine. Pink clouds. Okay, people, that is what we're working with today. So I draw these clouds by grabbing a dotting tool and making bigger globs that are touching to make the outline of the top of the cloud. And then while the polish is still wet, I grab my dotting tool and kind of drag a line across. And I feel like that makes the cloud really cute and kind of looks like it's moving with the wind. And the trick here is to make sure you are pulling the line across when the polish is still wet so you can work with it and the cloud looks really cohesive. I did this with gel, so when you're doing the dots for the clouds, just make sure it doesn't kind of combine and become one big blob. So you might need to cure between the clouds. But I did two dark pink clouds and two light pink clouds. I think you could redo this design so many different ways with so many cloud variations, like with an actual blue background with white and gray clouds, or if you want to do green clouds, or whatever may it be. But I do think this design has a lot of potential. So definitely give it a try at home and let me know how it goes. So this next design is a rose quartz design. I start by painting an opaque light pink polish as my base, and then I grab my liner brush dipped in white polish and start making these jagged, crooked lines across the nail with little cracks that kind of branch out across. You don't need to do straight lines here because that's not really the vibe that we're going for a marble look. You really want to be sort of rough around the edges, but then once you get the crooked lines that you like, you can go over it with a brush hair dipped in top coat. And I'm buffing out the lines here to kind of smooth it out and have it fade into the background more to make it softer. Just be careful with this step because you don't want to buff the polish too much such that it disappears, which is kind of what I did. So I had to go back with a brush back with my white polish to kind of define the cracks a little bit more. But other than that, I feel like this design turned out really well and is actually really easy to do at home. I call this next design a race car. Fun fact, race car is actually a palindrome. So race car backwards is still race car. Anyways, getting to the nail design, we have a hot pink base here. And I'm using my liner brush to do one thick light pink line. And I didn't use liner brushes for a long time. I avoided them because I thought they were really hard to use. I don't know why, but they actually make straight lines like this super, super easy. So if you don't have a liner brush yet, definitely go grab one. I'll link a couple in my Amazon storefront, but they make these sort of lines super easy to do, and it makes drawing lines that much more fun. Anyway, so after I do the thick line, I go in with a thinner line. And here I do a brighter bubblegum pink. And it's like the contrast of the thick line against the thin line that kind of gives it that race car look that I think is super fun. But yeah, once again, the liner brush makes this line super, super easy. I kind of just do one swipe all the way down the nail. I go back again if I miss anything or if I need to be a little bit more opaque. But I finish with a top coat and look how glossy and nice that design turned out. Okay, and last but not least, we're on to our final nail design of the pink nail series. I call this one Grandma's Antiques because it really do be reminding me of Grandma's Antiques. I start out with my dotting tool here and I do light pink globs. I don't want them to be circles, I kind of want them to be uneven little cloud type of shapes. And then I go back in with a darker color. Here I do a darker pink with my liner brush and kind of draw a few lines in the middle of the circle to kind of give that rose flowery effect. I do it when the polish is still wet, so I kind of get that marbly mix, which I actually really liked. But then after I cured the polish, I went back and kind of outlined the outside of each pink circle and kind of added a couple lines here and there to add texture to the flowers. It felt like something was still missing after I did the flowers. So I went in with these leaf sort of designs and I thought it turned out really well because I made it a really long leaf with multiple stems. I did one at the top and then one on each side of the stem on the left and the right. And I drew the leaves by doing my classic dot and then pulling it out while it's still wet to kind of get the shape of the triangular leaf. And I feel like that really added to the design and kind of finished it off because it really do be looking like grandma's house right now. And last but not least, finish with a top coat. If you love this series, give me a follow for more. And if you don't let me know. Bye!